Welcome to the end of the year holiday road trip show. Now, this is dropping on December 22nd, so maybe you're in need of a holiday travel playlist right now. So you can use that time to jumpstart your 2026 last lease ever strategy. Or if you aren't traveling, then maybe you're in the end of the year winding down time, which can be a great time for you to increase your confidence on the home buying process. Time for a quick update to your cheat code for clarity. Everything you need to know is here in this episode, so be sure you save it to help you build your personal education collection. Play the music.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is up, How to Buy Homies? David Sidoni back for another road trip episode guide. Since 2019, I've built you the complete podcast educational library on all things first-time homebuyers. It's a holiday edition, so if you hear any jingle bells in the background, that's just my dog, because my wife put one of those jingle bell collars on him, and he's here in the studio. You're going to get all the secrets, so feel free to binge away. This is your cheat sheet for all 431 episodes, 7 years of this stuff. And that way, when you're traveling or if you're just snuggling up by the fire, you can handpick your best episodes so you can start your planning with education, empowerment, practical action steps, things that you can start ASAP. Now, if you're brand new to the whole first-time home buying process, well, then you go to episode 400. That's where you're going to find the 10-episode must-know home buying 101 for any first-time home buyer. It's the #1 trusted first-time home buyer step-by-step system in the United States. And the proof is in the library because we have 110 interviews with real buyers who followed this system and they're now homeowners. But more about them in a minute. So if you've already listened or once you listen to those 10 steps, then I recommend episodes 388 and 389. That's the playbook. Helps you to create your own personal rent replacement strategy and your own custom last lease ever program. That's where you're going to get real practical tips and action steps to improve your position as a buyer while you're saving and getting ready as a renter. After those, I like episode 365. It's the where am I today in this whole process? It's the guide for that, and it's perfect for figuring out exactly where you stand right now and what you should be focusing on next. Now, after that, if you want to get your How to Buy a Home PhD, you want to get serious about this, the best approach that I found for listeners who have told me is using a mix. So you got the new episodes right when they come out so you can stay on top of the current market opportunities. And then you use this episode guide to mix in your own custom personal education on all the topics that will best help you gain your own personal confidence. So, of course, be sure that you're subscribed and following the podcast and the 2 YouTube channels as well. That way you're going to get the latest information right when it comes out. And then you can use today's episode guide. I recommend starting with digging through the last year's worth of shows. Pick the titles that hit on the topics that you want to know about. And if you don't find what you're looking for in the 2025 episodes, well, keep on digging. After 7 years, I've covered it all. So that's the best play. Start with the new stuff and then explore the old. It's really the best way for you to master this journey. So your binge list, it's going to be in the show notes. It's called the episode guide. It's got everything broken down, including categories and specific titles. You'll find I did a 21 episode guide on all the terms and definitions that you need to know. This way you'll be up to speed on all the lingo that you need. It starts way back on episode 94. I break down every first-time homebuyer term from A to Z. So you can use it like your real estate dictionary, but in podcast form. Now, if you're looking for a comprehensively researched analysis with predictions on where the housing market's going to go in 2026, we just dropped that one at episode 418. Now, I got to warn you, it's incredibly dense. It's got tons of analytics and data. And if that's not your thing, here, let me sum up the whole hour-long episode. Here's what's going to happen in 2026. Not much. Expect a pretty flat year in prices and mortgage rates. Yeah, we're going to have a spike. Things are going to happen in the spring. But overall, most economists are predicting, yeah, it's going to get a little bit better than it was this year, but nothing crazy. Now, of course, if we see anything changing and we see the data starting to look like maybe we're coming into something else that might shock the market, I will for sure drop an update episode. Another reason why you want to keep up with the episodes, subscribe and get them immediately when they come out. And I know lots of you are wondering about the affordability issue right now. So for that, I've got 2 great episodes that came out in 2025. Episode 355, it's titled, Am I Ready? How Much Can I Afford? It's the rent versus buy episode. And then just in the last week or so, I dropped episode 426, Low Down Payment Options and Strategies That Work. Now, this episode is part 7 of the How to Financially Prepare to Buy a Home series 2.0. Episode 426, it's one of the things that I wish every first-time homebuyer knew about, especially in today's market. Here's just some of the things that you're going to find in the episode guide for your own education and encouragement to help you know you can do this. There's tons of episodes on lenders and loans, dozens of them to answer all of your home mortgage questions from the beginning all the way into the nitty-gritty. There's also 10 episodes, I think, maybe more, on credit scores. This is a big one. If you haven't listened to those, make sure you dive into that. There's episodes on how much can you afford? Can you really do this? Should you really do this? Episodes on down payment assistance, episodes on bidding war tips, home inspection red flags, how to calculate your closing costs, financial planning. I told you guys, I just redid that whole series. It starts at episode 415. Episodes on credit pull myths. What about buying a condo or a townhome versus a single family home? Or buying a new build versus a traditional resale home? Episodes on dealing with your student loans, but still being able to buy a house, buying a home with other kinds of debt, saving money while working on reducing your debt. I dropped a few episodes with home buying checklists, and there's plenty of episodes with listener questions. A lot of these are the deep dive stuff that you might be thinking about, and you might find your answers in there. There are episodes on the benefits of using your 401k for a primary home purchase down payment. Also, episodes on house hacking, specific internet sites to help you out. Episodes on out-of-state buying, a couple episodes on PMI. Those are big if you think that's the thing holding you back. Episodes on tax benefits of home ownership. Moving tips from a moving expert. 2 episodes on that. Crazy stories, too. Also, if you're getting with the family this year, make sure you check out the Thanksgiving episode. That's how to beg your parents for money and explain to them that buying a home is a way better idea than you renting. There's episodes on ADUs and other house hacks, or rental purchases before you buy your primary home. Should you or should you not buy an Airbnb first? And there's episodes that explain the whole unicorn thing. Why do I talk about everything like I'm a 9-year-old girl who's excited about unicorns? No, it's just something that I said a long time ago, and it shows you how to find the elite people that can help you with your home buying dreams. Explains everything about the unicorns and everything we do here. And yeah, there's even episodes from my producer, JT, because that dude sits at home in a cave listening to me over and over for years and years. And a cool little spoiler alert, he's not sucking up to me in these episodes. He kind of ripped me a new one, but it's fun. Listen to those. So as you can see, we've got everything covered. The whole How to Buy a Home thing started as a passion project for me. It was a chance to give back and share what I had learned. I saw not just the little guys out there getting crushed. Those guys definitely needed some help. But I also saw middle-class people. Those guys weren't getting the right information, and they were getting stuck renting too. You know, the folks doing everything right, but just not getting the solutions available to them so they could find an affordable option. So I hope the episode guide helps you out. It's my labor of love, and it's straight legit. I believe in this. And what's really exciting is now that we've been doing this for 7 years, I've got stories from listeners. And many of the listeners tell me that hearing the stories from other listeners, that's their favorite episodes for learning and for having some fun. The great thing is people have taken it, used it, and now you get to hear from them. There's nothing like hearing from real people who have actually gone through this. I am so proud that right now we have 110 interviews. These are real renters that are now real homeowners. It's a great way for you to get practical education and some killer inspiration and motivation. And there are interviews with all kinds of buyers. We're talking people from $200,000 purchases to $1 million and above. People buying in the country to people buying in the suburbs to people buying in big cities. There are people that had zero savings and horrendous credit, but worked the plan and bought a home. And then there are people that came to us with like 840 credit scores and $300,000 in the bank, but they were just trying to figure out the best, most efficient way so that they could get the greatest deal possible for them. Many of the stories are people who bought recently in what's been referred to as the worst first-time home buyer market in decades. So don't listen to me, listen to them. You can do this and you have options. And these people tell you exactly how they did it. I highly encourage you to check out the episode guide. Scroll down to the bottom and find all the categories we have for all the different interviews. I'm even going to have JT put in a new category for this particular episode guide. We'll title it something like affordability or low down payment or you have options, because those are the stories that have been the greatest this year. If you go way back in the interviews, you'll hear all kinds of people, most of them using that low down payment option that I've been preaching for 20 years, people using 3%, 3.5%, or 5% down, but also figuring out how to use other different techniques, whether they're getting credits, whether they're using down payment assistance. Now, if you go back, you'll hear that from the very beginning, a lot of our buyers, like hardly any of them are using 20%. Most of them are using like 5%, 3%, 3.5% FHA loan. And they were using all these different techniques, whether they were getting seller credits or a mortgage interest rate buy down or getting a lender credit or getting a down payment assistance program. Most of the people on the interviews, there are people buying like $300,000, $500,000, and yeah, even $700,000 and $800,000 homes. The people buying $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes, some of them were doing $10,000 total, down payment and closing costs. Some of them $5,000 or less. And the $700,000 and $800,000 buyers, $50,000, some of them $30,000, some of them even $25,000 total to buy a $700,000 or $800,000 home. People who go through the How to Buy a Home system discover that they have down payment and closing cost options 50 to 75% lower than what an online mortgage calculator is going to tell you or what some loan call-in center is going to tell you. Hell, there are even 2 recent episodes with buyers. One of them only needed to bring in $120.95 for a $275,000 home, and the other one only needed $31.25 for a $313,000 home. I'm telling you right now, episode 426 on how to afford a home in 2025 and 2026, this should be mandatory for anybody that Googles, how do I buy my first house? Because we've got the results, and it's 50 to 75% less than what the internet's telling you. And it won't make you house poor. And it's not something that's going to ruin you for life. In fact, it does just the opposite. All the math and all the strategy, it's there in episode 426. And the results of that episode, the stuff I've been preaching for years and years and years, those are in those interview episodes. They're stories from real people, all different ages, from 19 to people all the way in their 60s. There's couples, there's families that buy together, there's single men, there's lots of single women buying homes. That is dope. There are people who were total novices with no clue to other people who had totally over-researched, over-prepared, the people that, well, let's just say maybe they were anal spreadsheet lovers. Those people. So what we did was we actually made a category in the interviews entitled the category Risk-Averse Buyers, sharing their stories of how they ran the numbers and probably slept with their spreadsheets and how they finally bought their first home and it fit in their very, very strict financial comfort zone. There are stories for people who were in a bad deal and what they did and how they pulled out of their contract when they found all the red flags and how they finally ended up succeeding with a safe purchase once they got out of that first one. Actually, I think one of the interviews, it wasn't just one, it was like 2 or 3 that she got out of before she bought the home. You can also hear firsthand from people who compared buying a new build versus buying an existing home and hear why they went one way or the other. There's also lots of stories about timing the move and making sure that you get your keys, timing it up with your lease, and hear stories from people who figured out that maybe it was a good time for them to break a lease so that they could snag the best deal. And of course, if you guys are in the high cost of living areas, that is a place that people are freaking out right now. You can hear directly from plenty of interviews with doctors, academics, people with doctorates. And guess what? Most of them, they had giant student loans, but with the right guidance, they figured out how to buy a home. And of course, for all our military folks, we've got people who use the VA loan. That's 0 down if you want to. And there's even stories from early 20s buyers who bought a home right out of college, even though they hadn't started their job yet. And what gives me the most pride are we've got interviews with people who were the very first people in their entire family to buy a home. Now, of course, they need a little extra assistance because they couldn't talk to anybody else in their family. And it's just so fulfilling to hear what happened to them. One guy was homeless in his teenage years, and now he owns a home. And then, of course, there's the just amazing story of this girl from Portland is Jessica. Her and her partner lived in a van for 7 years, and then they moved up to an apartment in Portland. And then one night after they both got beat up and mugged, that's when they decided maybe they should buy a home. Yeah, there are tons and tons of lessons in the interviews. And some really interesting stories too. All right, end of 2025. Statistically, first-time homebuyers have never sucked this bad. But I'm telling you, it is not because home prices are high and interest rates are high. I know everybody thinks that, but that's not what's going on. You can still do this. We've got interviews of people who did. It's different than it was in 2021, yes, but with the correct adjustments, it can still happen. Unfortunately, most renters out there are just not hearing the affordable, mathematically prudent options that are out there. But hey, you're here right now. So you're in on the secret. That secret that shouldn't be a damn secret. But what we're going to do is help you take advantage of the confusion of the general public and then use it to your benefit. Get yourself a better deal because it's going to be a meh 2026. No, flashy headlines of the housing market. But that means a lot of people who are waiting for lightning to strike them to jump on a deal, you can beat them out and get a better deal now. Get yourself educated, stay ahead of the crowd. It's clarity. That's the mission here. Clarity on the process, clarity on your best strategies, and clarity on how you can make this happen, even in a housing market that people are saying is impossible right now. So use the episode guide to create your own personal binge playlist you can dive into here as we wrap up 2025 and go into 2026, and we can start crafting your last lease ever. Get deep into it, and remember, you can't control what happens in 2026 with the housing market, the stock market, with inflations, tariffs, or the economy, but you can 100% control how much information you intake and how much your knowledge increases. That's how you take advantage. I want you all to know there's a lot of information here and it'll help you understand that there are far more possibilities. So use this information because I want every renter out there to know that there are possibilities far greater than what they're being told. Thanks so much for listening. And hey, thanks for subscribing and following. And of course, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to everyone who's left a written review on Apple or Spotify. If you're one of those people who hasn't done that, please do that because your words help the algorithm and it makes other renters out there able to find us. Puts us at the top of the searches because there are homies out there that don't know their homies and are desperate for all the how to buy a home goodness. And you know what? It's the holiday season. You're supposed to spread joy and love, right? So spread this. Share it with your friends. Text in this episode or one of your other favorite episodes. And of course, here at the end of the year, have a super bitchin' holiday season. I think today's the last day of Hanukkah, so happy Hanukkah to everybody and Merry Christmas coming up for a whole bunch of others of you and happy upcoming Kwanzaa here at the end of the year. And if I missed whatever holiday you celebrate, then happy Festivus or whatever it is that brings you joy this holiday season. And a reminder, we are right now at this particular holiday season sitting in the middle of a winter window of opportunity for home buyers right now. Yeah, the predictions are it's going to be a little flat, maybe up just a little bit next year, but I guarantee you there's going to be more competition in the spring. So the more you learn now, the more you know, the better you can find options and you can come out ahead before that spring thaw when everybody else decides to wake up and pay attention. All right, the link to the episode guide, it's in the show notes. We're also going to put a link to our YouTube channels. There's 2 of them. And I'm even going to have JT drop in my Instagram and my TikTok for more nuggets and education and information if you're doom scrolling over the holidays. Have fun, everybody. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyaHome.com to get started.